I'm Sarah. I run a sewing shop in Leicester with my business partner Freya, and when I'm not there sewing, I'm usually at home sewing. So that's where my first vlog is coming from. And I thought I'd just give you a little bit of a guided tour of my sewing space and how I sew at home. I've got so much stuff and I'm so lucky to have a dedicated space, but it really is well in need of some organisation. So the last couple of days when I've been sewing, I've actually been sewing down here. So it is really nice sewing down here because I've got a lovely open fire which keeps me nice and warm when it's been a bit chilly over the last few days. And we've also got our Apple TV, which was a lovely engagement present from Matt's uncle Graham. He got us some John Lewis vouchers and we decided to invest in something that we would both use together. We love Netflix and it gives me the chance to catch up with my favourite vloggers. So I have been getting some hints and tips about other people's sewing rooms and watching a few sewing room tours and sewing space tours. And that's been really, really handy to help me get a bit more focused on what I need to do to improve my sewing space, which shouldn't be here, but for the last couple of days it has been here because, yeah, as I said, getting into my sewing room at the moment is just not an inspiring place to be. It's overwhelming, and sitting here with the nice fire on and the TV set up with YouTube on and just sewing a nice simple strip quilt, which is what I've been working on. I'll just take you around to that. So I've been working on this strip quilt using pre-cut jelly rolls, and it was just a really nice thing to do in front of the TV, just sewing the strips together, and I didn't really have to worry too much about any awkward sewing or anything like that. But for clothes making and things like that, I really do need to have my sewing space back in action. So I'll take you up and show you my sewing space now, and hopefully you can give me some advice and some hints and tips from your experience of things that I'll be able to do to improve it and just get myself a little bit more organised and get myself sorted for the summer. Okay, so I thought I'd stop by the first of my sewing spaces. This is our dining room table, and this is where I do most of my cutting out. It's about 2.5 metres by 1.5 metre table, which is great for cutting out most patterns. I've made a start on making some lovely seat pads to go on them, but so far I have only made one, and I've got 3 more to go. All the foam's bought and the fabric is cut. I just need to sew them up. And on the table you'll see at the moment there are some gorgeous flowers. I absolutely love pink roses, and these are an anniversary present from my fiance Matt. And this is my sewing room on the door here. So just show you around a little bit. I'm not going to go into all the details because I think that will come after I've actually got it sorted, but I'll just give you a quick overview so you can see the amount of stuff that I've got to get organised. So this is the top basically, and I'll start from these shelves and kind of work down. Right at the top we've got a picnic basket which I take when I go to festivals. It's got all my festival bits and pieces in, like cutlery, crockery and all the stuff that you need. That could do with finding a new home, to be honest, because it's not really sewing related, so we'll see what we can do with that. And then next to that I've got a big box of vintage sewing patterns. Then I've got my filing, tax, general kind of, life admin. And then I have some outdoor cushions, which again could do with finding a home downstairs. Some little house fairy lights, which I'm planning to use for my wedding. Again, I could do with some storage solutions for wedding preparation. Then I've got a whole load of books, fairy lights strung across, photos, bits and pieces. This gorgeous photo of my mum and dad, which I love, and just says everything about being married, I think, really. And yeah, lots and lots of nice books. And then a doll, jars full of ribbons and bits and pieces. That's my sister and me at a friend's wedding. And then my Sizzix cutter, which I hardly ever use, so I should get rid of that. Some more life admin filing. I've also got the bits to go with my sewing machine just here, even though my sewing machine does not live on this area, so it would make sense to move that to somewhere where my sewing machine is. And then a whole load of magazines, and they're quite mixed. We've got some of mine and some of Matt's as well. And then Matt has a shelf here with bits and pieces and his various books and albums and things like that. And then down from that we have my accounting, which is in a gift bag. My boxes from my sewing machine, which probably I could do with getting rid of or storing. Loads of bags of bits, more vintage patterns, more fabrics, things to go to the charity shop, vacuum cleaner. It's like the generation game, this. What can you remember? Whatever you can remember, you can take. Don't worry, that isn't a dead animal. That is going to be a gilet, honest. It's not Lassie. And yeah, I've just got loads of fabrics in there. This is my organised filing system, so everything in this little box here basically is things that I need to do something with in the very impending future. And then I've got a box of trims, so we've got like elastic, ribbon, everything all thrown into one there, and then a box of paper craft and card making things, which is spilling out to the top slightly. Oh no, they're art brushes and a kid's kit, and then an organised box of future projects which doesn't have a label on, so that could do with a bit of TLC. I have started having a look at some paint colours, as you can see just here, this gorgeous kind of bubblegum raspberry colour. Bought some tester pots, put a bit on some paper to see what it looks like in different lights and things like that, and I'm quite happy with that, so that's pretty much chosen. And I've got a lovely pin board here, which is just absolutely ram-packed full of inspiration, bits and bobs that I've picked up, and just could do with a bit of sorting and tidying, so it's actually inspiring and not just a whole load of stuff. And then I have a big bag of beanbag beans, which I'm going to make a poof for downstairs with. So I just need to get on with that and do it, and then they'll be out of the way. Then underneath here, this is slightly terrifying. There's a Rugrats Chucky doll, looking like he's having a really terrible time. That's a little project for a friend of mine who wants me to make a puppet for him, so we're using that as inspiration. And then I've got just so much stuff under here, so I mean you can't really see, but there is at least 3 to 4 boxes this kind of size, and then I've got these boxes here, so that one is full of scrappy bits of fabric, that one is full of half finished makes. We're going to call them work in progress, and that one is full of gifts and things that I've made to gift or to give away. Sometimes I give them away to charity and things like that. And then the box down at the bottom here was once really well organised and contains bigger bits of fabric. Now I did get myself quite organised with that. And just taking you over again, sorry about the motion sickness. Oh, and my cat, that's my cat Ollie. My cat Ollie likes to sit in my craft room, and he likes to sleep in my craft room, and this is his favourite place, on my chair here. So I'll come in the morning and I'll see him asleep on my chair, and he gets a bit miffed when I have to send him away off my chair. Because I need to sit on it to sew. So it would be really nice if I can just make him like a little kind of cat bed chair thing. I did originally have one in here, and this had nice furry fabric in it before Christmas, and he was so happy to have his little space. But this has been now filled with patterns and stickers and other stuff which doesn't need to be there, so we'll get that back in check, won't we, Ollie? Yes. Anyway, as I was saying, my fabric box, which we've just had a look at, I did actually get myself really organised and cut off a strip of each of my fabrics, just here, and stick them onto a board. So all the fabrics here are fabrics that I have at least 1/2 metre of. Again, I could do with kind of breaking it down a little bit more. I made it look all pretty and separated it into blues and yellows and reds and blacks and that kind of thing. But actually, I really need to just organise it into, I've got 1/2 metre of this, I've got 3 metres of that. And then I'll be able to actually know what I can use them for a little bit more. I got up to my fabric boxes. I've got a couple of boxes here. This one's got kits in it. For kind of research for our kits that we make. We like to kind of check out other kits as well to make sure we're on track and offering something, you know, different, and you know, the best version of what we can do. Then I've got a box here of stuffing, toy stuffing, and this shelving unit up here was actually here when I moved into the house, and it's really useful, the little cubbies, and I added the hooks underneath to hold all manner of things that I need to hand most of the time. But it is actually kind of a bit far away from my sewing space. So in relation, this is my kind of storage area, and then this just here, this is my sewing space. So the problem with that is that every time I want something, I've got to get up. So it would be much better if I could have it on the wall back here. So below that shelving unit, we have another set of shelves, and we've got my lovely sewing basket. Sewing baskets are gorgeous, but you know, a bit impractical. You can't see what's in there, but very pretty. And in there I've got a little tool organiser which has all my needles and thimbles and safety pins and things like that in, and then I've got another one which has lots of marking tools, and then in here I've got things like fastenings and stuff like that, mostly. And then underneath there's another one which has a really pretty top, but you can't see it because it's covered up by another sewing box. And then I've got a variety of little jars and things, a pot with buttons in, another pot with buttons in, and one of my big problems is that I actually can't seem to segregate my sewing room from everything else in the whole house. So I need to find some kind of way of having a space for anything that doesn't belong in the sewing room to be put somewhere temporarily and then dealt with, and I need to get into a routine of every week just sorting that out. For instance, I don't need cake cases in here. I am not going to be baking cakes in my sewing room, so they should be downstairs. So I'll put them just down here in the allotted needs to go somewhere else space. And that's the start of things to come. So below the top shelf, on my shelving unit, my little shelving unit, I've got boxes for a variety of different things. So this one has old notebooks, because I like to keep all my old notebooks, especially with starting my own business. It's really good to look back and see how far I've come, and also see any ideas that I haven't had time to develop yet. So yeah, they all stay in there. And I've got a couple of nice little Fortnum & Mason boxes, and they have just stationery bits and pieces in them. I love that colour. That's really gonna, I think, inspire hopefully colour palette for wedding things and bits and pieces. And then I have a variety of other things. I mean, sunglasses. It doesn't get bright in here. I don't need sunglasses in here. A lovely metal doorknob would look so much nicer on an actual door. So it's things like that that I need to get sorted. And then I have a box here for interfacings. It's got a little Velcro tab and I have to pull it all the way out to even be able to get into it. So that is completely unusable, and I have to take all the things that I've got on top of it out as well. So that needs to be looked at. Then I've got a box here that has greetings cards in. Really, that should be over here with my papercraft and card making. So if I can just bring those together, well then that will make a big difference. And then on the bottom shelf, I've got a box here which has lots of old clothes that I really like the shape of, that I'm planning to make patterns out of. Well, I'll use them for inspiration. Some pattern cards, bits and pieces. I mean, most of that generally stays at the shop, so I've just got a few bits for if I'm developing projects at home. Again, could do with that being a little bit more organised. I've got a little box for felt there, which is just generally felt scraps and things. Another box here which has old magazines which I've cut up, and I should really find somewhere to put this up in my craft room, because this was the first project sheet that I made for my Leicester's Crafty Ladies community group, which is where it all began. That's where Crafty So and So came from. We were a little community group, and we met up every couple of weeks to work on projects together, and then I decided that I would take it into a business. So I hope you've enjoyed looking around my craft room, and you've got some suggestions for me of things that I can do that will make a big difference to my organisation and my storage. My first thing that I'm definitely going to do is invest in a pegboard, which is an MDF board with 6mm holes cut in it, and I can use that to put up a few hooks and some dowels sticking out of them. They'll act as kind of pegs. The other thing that I'm going to do, I'll just move forwards, although I really like my table here, and it's quite long, quite wide, and I've got lots of space, it does encourage me to hoard. I'm pointing at my hoarding right now, and not be very organised. So I think I need to change back to my old table, which I used to have in my house when I was living with my parents, which is a much shallower table, but it does have a cupboard in it. And I think if I change back to that, it'll actually give me a lot more floor space, and it'll encourage me to not keep everything on the desk, try and keep the desk a bit clearer. I'm also going to add some shelves up here, and I'm thinking I can probably fit good kind of maybe 1, 2, maybe 3, maybe 2 shelves that are deep enough to be able to fit boxes, some magazine files, and probably some clear kind of plastic boxes as well, to get my projects all organised. So I've got everything that I know that I'm working on at the moment right in front of me. And I think just those few little changes will make a big difference to start off with. I might also paint the wall or wallpaper the wall, just to give myself something nice to look at whilst I'm crafting all day. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed looking at that. Please add some comments down at the bottom, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this kind of vlog. It is my first one, so if I hear that you like it, well then I'll do more. Okay, thanks. Bye.